Final topic, my Malkin's moments. I have some great Malkin's moments, some historic Malkin's moments. I want to transition to the NBA for a couple of these. I'll go back to the NFL in just a moment, but I have to start with Joel Embiid in the NBA with the Philadelphia 76ers. Joel Embiid, did you watch his game yesterday? Really, have you watched him play over the last weekend? 59 points last night, a career high in the Philadelphia 76ers in a 105-98 victory over the Utah Jazz. He had 59 points, 11 rebounds, 8 assists, 7 blocks, which ties a career high, 68% shooting from the floor, 20 of 24 from the free throw line in 37 minutes. But that's not even the most impressive stat. He scored 26 of the 76ers' 27 fourth quarter points. He scored 20. Let me repeat that. He scored 26 of the 76ers' 27 fourth quarter points. That stat line is bonkers. It was the perfect encore to what he had done the previous night in Atlanta, 42 points in a win over the Hawks. In the last 24 hours, he has scored 101 points. He became the fourth player, alongside Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, and Bradley Beal, to score at least 100 points across back-to-back games since the NBA-ABA merger. Again, the merger took place in the 60s. So he's the first center to do this since Wilt Chamberlain did it in 1967. Only 5 centers have ever scored 100-plus points over the 2-game span. It's the 5th best scoring performance in Philadelphia 76ers history. Wilt Chamberlain did it 3 times. He scored 62 and 65 points in 1966 and 1968, respectively. Scored 68 in 1967. Allen Iverson scored 60 points in 2005, but that was it. Then you add Joel Embiid. Now, since blocks as a statistic became an official stat in 1973 and 1974, Embiid is the first player in NBA history to record 50-plus points, 10-plus rebounds, 5-plus assists, and 5-plus blocks in a game. He was the first player to register at least 20 points and 5 blocks in a single quarter in the past quarter century. And he became the first player to outscore both teams by himself in a fourth quarter, 26-21, since Tracy McGrady did it in 2006. And if memory serves me correctly, I believe that is the famous Houston Rockets over the San Antonio Spurs, Tracy McGrady, 13 points in 30 seconds game, if I remember correctly. That was Bruce Bowen, Tim Duncan, Manu Ginobili, Tony Parker, much younger. So it's been a long time since that's happened. So shout out to Joel Embiid. He's returning back to his MVP form, playing at an extremely high level, especially without James Harden, who's out for at least a month with a foot injury. He's putting the team on his back. And they've won, I think, 3 or 4 straight games, and he's been an absolute monster carrying the team. Shout out to him. Shout out to Darius Garland, the guard for the Cleveland Cavaliers, who also dropped 51 points, so 50-plus point performance yesterday. It had actually been a long time since 2 guys in the NBA dropped 50 points on the same night. Now, the Cavs played before the 76ers, so at the time that Garland had scored 51 points, he was the first player in the NBA to score 50-plus points in a game this season, again, until Joel Embiid did it. Now, unfortunately for him, the Cavs fell to the Minnesota Timberwolves 127-122. So they ended up losing, but he had 51 points, which was a career high. He had 10 3-pointers made, which was a career high, on 51% shooting from the floor. And he became just the 6th player in NBA history with 50-plus points, 10-plus threes, and 5-plus assists in an NBA game in the history of the league, joining pretty elite company with Steph, Dame, Kyrie, Harden, and Klay Thompson. That's it. And 2 of those guys play on the same team. So shout out to Darius Garland. He's continuing to play extremely well. Cavs have been reeling a little bit right now. They've lost 4 straight, but it hasn't been because of him. He's been playing extremely, extremely well. Finally, I teased it. The Minnesota Vikings is wide receiver Justin Jefferson. Career high receiving yards, 10 receptions for 193 yards and a touchdown. Again, the yards received, the career high for him. Obviously, I think he has cemented himself as one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. He had already been doing that. There's an argument to be made that he's top 3 right now, I think. He had one of the most impressive, one of the greatest catches, I think, in NBA, in NFL history, rather. I know it's a regular season game, so it loses a little bit of its luster compared to postseason games. But given the stakes, given the situation, the execution, I don't really care when it could have been Pee Wee football for all I care. Could have been flag football. And it's still shockingly impressive. Again, I mean, he single-handedly kind of carried that team offensively along with Cook. 33-30 overtime win over the Buffalo Bills on the road, cementing the Vikings as a legitimate team. It's their most impressive win of the season. Now they've won 7 consecutive games in a row, which, by the way, Minnesota is 8-1 right now. It matched its best record through 9 games since 2009. I mentioned they've won 7 games in a row, which is the Vikings' best since an 8-game run in 2017. What happened in 2017? They reached the NFC Championship game. Funny enough, the team that they lost to in 2017, that was the Minnesota Miracle, Case Keenum to Stephon Diggs. That was one of the most incredible games. They ended up losing to the Philadelphia Eagles in the NFC Championship game. The Eagles ultimately went on to win the Super Bowl that year as the number 1 seed. Right now, who are the top 2 seeds in the NFC? The Eagles won, the Vikings 2. Not sure if we're in store for that again, but we're closing in on that. So, again, Minnesota rallied to win when trailing with 2.5 minutes or less remaining in regulation for the 5th time this year. We've always criticized and mocked the Vikings as a team that could never execute down the stretch. They were always kind of the butt end of the joke, always losing those close games. Not this year. Not this year. That has not been the case this year. So shout out to Justin Jefferson as well. All right, that's all the time that I got for today. Thank you so much for joining me right here on Morning Joe every single Monday and Wednesday morning, 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 10 to 11 Central, and 8 to 9 a.m. Pacific. Make sure to subscribe to my YouTube page, Morning Joe, J-O, with Jonah Malkin on YouTube. Follow me on Twitter at Jonah Malkin or at morning_Joe_, JMalk97 on Instagram, and Jonah Malkin on TikTok. Thanks so much. And as always, have a lovely rest of your morning.